Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Political Soul Food. I am with our special guest. I've been bragging about all week, and she's here, Nan-Lynn Nelson.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks for being here. I've been looking forward to this, and it's really a great thing to talk to a creative mind and an intellectual soul and all of these things here. Mm-hmm. And as I introduce you, I'm not sure which cap or which label to use because I met you through a mutual friend.
Right.
And in that scenario, you were a playwright. Mm-hmm. But doing more research, I found out that you're an actress, mm-hmm. you're a teacher, mm-hmm. and the list go on. So let's talk about who you are.
Well, I am all of those things. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say I'm really happy to be here at the Harlem Soul.
Absolutely.
Harlem Natural Hair Salon.
Right, yes.
Very excited with you on your show. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm all of those things. We're more than just one thing.
Right.
And we wear many hats.
Right.
So
absolutely.
I think creative expressionist is something I like to refer to from time to time.
Okay, I like that. Creative expressionist. So, as a creative expressionist, what inspired you to get into the activity of creating, to get into that kind of world?
Well, you know what? I think we are all naturally creative beings, just by the pure fact that we were born. And we are the ultimate creation of the divine. And if something so magnificent could create us, that energy and that possibility is in each and every one of us to be creative beings. I just think it's part of our DNA. I think some of us might gear more toward one kind of creative expression than another, but I think we are all naturally creative expression.
Okay, we're going to have a good talk now. I mean, there's a lot here that I would love to explore.
Okay,
and so before I go on, because I have a lot I'd like to talk to you about, I want to let all of you know and remind, I guess, most of you who are following my channel that Miss Nelson is producing an amazing play that's going to be featured this month.
Right. I am actually the playwright of the play. It's being produced and presented by Dixon Place, which is an iconic theater downtown. It's been around for over 30 years, Dixon Place. They do everything from puppetry to stand-up comedy, dance, fashion, you name it. They are on the cutting edge of a lot of creative presentations, performances, and things like that. And I am very, very happy and thrilled that they selected my play as their world premiere.
Wow.
So
that's pretty awesome.
Very excited, yeah.
Now, forgive me if I don't get into the play too much because we're going to do a feature on the play, Glory. And I get to get some behind the scenes, views of the whole creative process and technical process. And also I'm going to explore, your process in writing this play and what it means.
Yes.
And I'd like to save that for Saturday. Okay. I think we're going to do. But there's so much more to explore in terms of how you got to producing a play or writing a play like Glory. So our talk at Starbucks where we had a little introduction. Right. You open up so much that I'm very, very interested in and curious about. And my platform, Political Soul Food, is about food for the soul. And you had a whole buffet for food for the soul.
Thank you.
So I like to start off with who inspired you and what inspired you to become an artist, creator, in terms of growing up.
Right.
And what triggers or what kinds of inspirations that were around you in your community?
Right. I guess I would have to start with my just immediate family. My mom was a seamstress, actually. She sewed. She was a nurse by day and a super seamstress at night. My dad was a musician.
Oh, wow.
Interesting enough, though, I didn't really know him as a musician until I got older. But I guess that kind of creative energy sort of, helped me come to be. And just, I played really well by myself with my dolls. So I always had creativity going. And I remember I had one toy in particular. It was an actual theater. And it had these magnetic characters. Like you would put a little wand underneath the stage.
Oh, okay.
And you could move the characters around, but you opened it up and it was like it had a set and everything. And
nice.
that was like one of my favorite things to play with. And, being this character and using this voice for this character and just making up my own stories growing up here in Harlem. And so just having time to be alone in my own world, I think just really helped me just be creative and tap into that, natural creativity that I talked about earlier.
Right.
And especially as a young child, I mean, children, oh my goodness, they just are so intuitive and creative. And so I really took advantage of that, I guess you could say, when I was a child.
And when you were growing up as a child, that was in Harlem?
That was in Harlem.
So you're a Harlemite,
I'm a Harlemite.
like myself. Okay, now,
Harlem
real deal, Harlem Hustle. Okay.
That's right, 129th and Lennox Avenue.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. Before Lennox and
wow. Okay, nice. Good to know. I'm gonna have some questions for you because there were places in Harlem that were sort of fading away as I was really becoming conscious of the culture and the music scene, especially the jazz music scene.
Yeah.
There was a place called. I'm trying to remember this place on 125th Street, and it was 5th Avenue. And I'm trying to remember the name of this one jazz place, the La Famille. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes.
I started jazz in there, jazz organ. Yeah, one of the guys snuck me in, Donald Smith. He actually lives around here, and said I was his nephew. And because children couldn't go in there, they were like smoking and drinking booze and all that stuff. It was really like a scene from the past. So you remember that place?
I remember that place. Not growing up, actually, when I became an adult, I remember that place.
Right.
I also remember Small's Paradise.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that?
Not the Smalls here on Broadway. It must be a
No.
Smalls. Okay.
Small's Paradise was on 7th Avenue.
Okay.
Which is now called Adam Clayton Powell.
Right.
Boulevard.
Yeah, no doubt.
Still from Harlem. We just say 7th, 8th Avenue.
True.
Small's Paradise. It was a club. And I have very fond memories there because my mom and some of her friends had this sort of social ladies group.
Oh, wow.
That they formed together called The Bunch.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And every year they would have their annual dance at Small's Paradise.
Oh.
They would take part of the proceeds and donate it to a worthwhile cause, like Sickle Cell Anemia Foundation or cancer research. And so they would always give a portion to charity. And they actually pooled the money that they made with all of their little Small's Paradise. We had bus rides and all that kind of stuff, and they bought a brownstone.
Oh, wow.
On 137th Street.
Really? 137th?
Yeah, in Harlem. Yeah.
Okay, that's near where, is it the Savoy Manor? Oh, no, or that ballroom that used to be there. Remember around 137?
137.
And Adam Clayton Powell?
Connie's Ballroom? No, Connie's Ballroom was on Lennox Avenue.
If it's not the Savoy Manor, maybe the Renaissance?
I remember the Savoy Manor.
Right, that's in that neighborhood, I think.
Right? The Savoy Manor, I think was in the Bronx.
Right, so that was in the Bronx. So it's like the Renaissance Hall or something like that.
Yes.
So that's around that area. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you grew up in the history.
Yes.
Oh, wow, look at that. So growing up in the history as a child in Harlem and with this magical sort of magical space or toy,
Yes.
And then being around so many musicians and your family sort of being very outgoing and socialites, it seems.
Yes, actually.
Seeing that kind of transferred over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought about it that much, but I think you're right, because people were always over. My mom was a wonderful host, a wonderful cook. lots of interactions. My dad belonged to a lodge, so there were those activities that we did growing up. So yeah, there were always people. There was always music, and just lots of fun and love.
So when did the idea of being an actress pop up?
Yeah. You know what? I've been trying to pinpoint that down. It was something I always knew I could do.
Okay.
And it kind of was like, how do I know how to do this? Like, where did that come from? Like, there was nobody in my family that was an actor. And certainly growing up, I didn't see that kind of representation on TV.
Right.
But I always just kind of knew that it was something I could do, that I could do well, that I really wanted to do. I was in my school plays in elementary school.
Okay.
And then I remember when Julia came on with Diane Carroll, starring.
Yes. I like that show.
Yeah, she was a nurse. My mom was a nurse.
Okay.
And it was just this immediate identification, and the possibility. Like, here is a person that looks like me on TV, and so maybe I could do that.
Right.
Before then, it was just something I did in my room, with my toys.
Wow.
So I don't know. It was like I knew I could do it, but I also loved science and biology. So I kind of thought I wanted to be a doctor, but I just kept getting pulled into the stage and theater and things like that. And Theater One.
And Theater One. Do you remember your first production or first
my first play was The Wizard of Oz.
Oh wow, look at that.
In elementary school, PSA 1 up in Riverdale. Was The Wizard of Oz. And I was a munchkin.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I want to thank you for sharing, exposing some of these roots here, disclosing those magical moments and everything else that contributed to who you become. Now I want to remind everyone that I'm here with a superstar, right? And so I went to IMDb, is that right?
IMDb, yeah.
So I tried to get hip and do some homework, and I said, "Whoa, look at this Rolodex!" My goodness. And so
What'd you find?
I found a lot. I mean, I don't know where to begin. So, I mean, you've been in so much TV, movies, and the stage.
Yeah.
So, it says here, Nan-Lynn Nelson is an actress known for Unintended in 2018, Cultural Wars 2014, and Law and Order. And it goes on and on and on. A Bread Factory, Jack,
Patrick Wang's new movie,
Red Hearts,
Factory.
Clover, White Lies, The Cosby Mysteries. Do the homework, okay? We can just do a show just going over this.
Yeah.
How did all this happen?
My professional career started off Broadway at the Public Theater.
Okay, I know about the Public.
Yeah, at the Public Theater. I was actually attending City College. Studying theater.
I went to City.
Did you go to City?
Yes, I went to City for music. Yes. Wonderful school. Yeah.
And my acting teacher had a connection at the Public Theater. He heard about a new play that they were holding auditions for called Runaways.
Okay.
And recommended that I go. And I think he might have called somebody to get me the audition or whatever. And so I went and I auditioned and I got the part in Runaways with Elizabeth Swados.
Okay.
And it changed my life, really. I mean, that was the start of my professional career. It was a 6-month intensive workshop creative process. I mean, talk about a creative process. I mean, we came up with characters and scenarios and we worked them all day, and it was just fun and hard, and I realized that this is where I wanted to be. That this was home for me. And the discipline it was just nothing like it. And then after we worked the show, and it evolved, and it formed itself, and we started on off-Broadway at the Public for about 6 months.
Okay.
And actually, I think the workshop was 3 months. The off-Broadway run was 6 months. And then the Broadway run was a little over a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is good. So I want to backtrack just a little bit. We did a little bit of your beginnings and to the Big Bang. Now, I want to keep it real. As a Black woman, can you speak a little bit about that experience? Was it something unique about getting into this industry as a Black woman? And generally, just what was your experience as a Black woman getting into the film industry in terms of roles and auditioning and connections, like images? How did that work out? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it's very interesting. You started to realize sort of where you got pigeonholed, right? Because for Black women, when I was an ingenue, like in my 20s, because of my complexion, basically, I was either the drug addict mom or the nurse.
Wow.
Right? Never really the romantic lead or anything like that, but those seem to be the two categories that I fell into. And it certainly was a very color conscious casting choice.
Right.
And if you see today, I mean, there's still a lot of that kind of casting that happens
right,
now. But I think it's expanded a little bit. I also do voiceovers.
Oh wow, nice.
And this is really funny, and I'm sure every Black actress has had this experience, especially back earlier in like the 80s, 90s. You go for a voiceover for a commercial or radio, and if they're calling you in as a Black woman, they want you to sound Black. Which I did not know when I first started going for these voiceovers. And so you'd go in and, you'd read the copy, and then, somebody in the booth that you could only hear their voice would say, man, that was really good. Could you be more yourself?
Oh my goodness.
And then I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm kind of being myself right now, but okay. And then I do it again, and they stop me before I finish the line. No. I mean more, down home.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, down home, like I'm just clueless. So I'm just adding more enthusiasm. Down home, I think I slowed it up a little. I had no idea what they were talking about.
Oh my goodness.
And then finally, I think they said something like sassy.
Oh wow.
So then I thought, oh.
What came to your mind?
I think he wants me to sound Black. Whatever that means, because I am Black and I'm sounding.
Right. Oh my goodness.
So, you kind of had to figure that out and decide just how far you were going to go with that, just a lot of interesting things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow. Has things changed since then? I mean,
I really hope so, but I don't know. I've still gone up for the lead in something, and often back then it would be the lighter complexioned sister that would get it, and kudos to her, but not any fault of her own, just the way the industry was, and the work that we still need to do, because it's like, lighter was considered beautiful, darker was considered less beautiful, and Hollywood played that game on our minds as well.
What about on stage? Was that a similar issue?
Not really.
Okay.
Honestly, starting out with Runaways on Broadway, they were just casting talent.
Wow.
They wanted to have a diverse group of people, but the color never really came into it.
Oh,
if
wow,
you were
that's
talented, then you got the part. It was a rather large cast of amazing young people.
That's interesting. That's pretty good to hear.
Yeah.
So, how is this translated into your worldview or your mission statement, your purpose as an artist, as a human being, your experience as a performer and writer, right? And how do you see the world? How do you see the industry now?
In terms of race?
And in terms of the meaning of it all. Why are you into the arts? Like, why do you continue to do this?
Well, I mean, I think the arts are very powerful. I think they could change the world overnight, especially media, because we are so conditioned to believe, what we see and hear on TV and movies, commercials. I mean, commercials is all about trying to get people to buy something.
Right.
And they're very effective. And I think that the arts, because it does touch all of us in some capacity, is transformative if that's its purpose, to be transformative. I know we had spoken in our earlier conversation that I'm also a teaching artist, and I work with young people, and it is using the arts to teach anything really, but to teach academics is very powerful. It helps the student free up their minds. It takes them outside of the box.
Absolutely.
It brings in their own natural creativity.
Right.
It gives them a sense of self and purpose. And all of those things, when it's happening inside the brain, is telling that child, you can do it.
Right.
You are capable, because they see the results of their own creativity.
Right.
And I have seen such transformation with students, especially our African American students, because the world has already given them so many negative messages.
Right.
And when they are able to realize something positive through their own creativity, and they see the outcome, it immediately transforms them. And I've seen kids go from, standing in the corner with their hands folded, like, this is stupid, to you can't get them off the stage.
Wow. That's,
and they've blossomed and they've really connected to the creative process.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So it seems as a teaching artist, part of the purpose of teaching is to transform people's lives, their minds.
I think so. It's to help them realize their own capacity and their potential. To help them find it, to discover it within themselves, either through the written word, through music, through movement, through creative stuff. I mean, I look at this beautiful artwork here.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
I mean, once you can do that, once you realize you have that capacity, the sky's the limit. And I think that our young people, all young people, need to understand that they have so much potential, and that our African American young people should understand that their skin is not a limitation. It is their amazing, beautiful, wonderful heritage that really they should just be so proud of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's dig into some memories here. What works have you played in that you felt were transformative works for yourself, or just a work that you felt just had a lot of meaning and that gave you that kind of experience that you see the power of the arts having?
Well, just about everything I've done, right, My first TV series was The Bloodhound Gang. I don't know if you're probably too young.
Well, I got Google here and YouTube, so I can catch up. I can go back in time.
A children's television workshop television show, for those of you who might remember it, called The Bloodhound Gang. And it was part of a bigger half-hour show, but we were a 5-minute series.
Oh, wow.
It was part of 321 Contact, actually, which was a science show. It was all about science. Yeah, 321 Contact. And The Bloodhound Gang was like this 5-minute little mini-series, but it was a full episode. It had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Okay.
And the Bloodhound Gang were these 3 detectives that were going to solve a problem scientifically. It always had to do with science.
Okay.
And my character was Vicky, who was sort of like the leader of the gang. And then I had my little sidekick, and then we had I had the young sidekick, and Marcelino Sanchez. He rest in soul. He was my other sidekick, and Mr. Bloodhound, who would give us these cases we had to solve, and we would solve them using science that related to the 321 Contact show, and it was fun. I got to work with amazing actors because it was all filmed all over New York City.
Wow!
And it was just a fun way of teaching the art, science through the arts.
Oh, that's a great example. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was really wonderful, and it was like we were mini detectives.
What about one of your most challenging experiences?
Well,
because I've seen actors, like, I never really got it, right? It took me a while to appreciate what goes on stage, not just on stage, but also within an artist, within an actor. And I've seen actors really have a tough time, almost break down, or just like reflect like they're philosophers. I'm like, just read the lines. No. So have you had any moments where, maybe text or meaning, or just, some kind of challenge that you can share that you had to overcome?
As a matter of fact, it was when I actually replaced Angela Bassett on Broadway in Joe Turner's Come and Gone.
Oh, wow.
When she booked What's Love Got to Do with It?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I got the part. And I was told I had to be ready within a week.
Wow.
And I said, okay. And I got the script and I buried myself in my room and I learned the lines. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Turner's Come and Gone. This is a character, Martha Loomis, that doesn't come out until the end of the play, but the play is all about this character.
Oh, wow.
Finding this woman. This man is on this journey and he is trying to find her throughout the play. And then finally at the end of the play, we meet her. So Act 1, she's not in the play. Act 2, towards the end, she comes out. 1 week rehearsal, 1 performance with the actual cast. Not performance, one rehearsal with the actual cast. I'd been rehearsing with all of the understudies until that moment.
Oh my goodness.
The day that I was going to go on, I had 1 rehearsal with the actual people that I was going to be performing with on the stage on Broadway in the afternoon. And these folks had been doing this play for, I think, a year. They had been touring.
Yeah.
So it was just in their bones.
Right.
They
had chemistry with each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And so at that rehearsal that afternoon, I'm just like a nervous wreck. And we got through the rehearsal, and then now it's the evening show. I am so beside myself with anxiety and nerves. The whole first act, I'm trying to figure out how I can just leave the theater. Just leave the theater. Never come back, ever. Give up my career right there in that moment because this is nuts, right? Why am I doing this? I was so nervous. Then as my second act comes and I, as I'm hearing my cue about to come up, I walk, I take my place. And I literally felt like I was about to pass out because I was just so overwhelmed with everything. And I'm standing there and I hear my cue and I really felt like, I don't know if it was God or the stage manager just kind of put their hand on my back and gave me a little push.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And I walked out and I did it.
Wow.
But between that push of the hand and that barrier right there, I felt like death would have been easier.
Oh my goodness. Wow. High stakes. Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure. But, at that point, I had been on Broadway twice.
Oh, wow.
Twice.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, and had been in the business for a while. You're a professional.
Yeah.
You do what has to be done. You get it done. You got a fever. You got a broken ankle. Unless you're going into labor.
Wow.
You get out there and you do the job.
Wow, look at that.
That's what we do. That's what we do. Yeah, and so it was a real technical thing that I had to do in terms of learning the line, but then I also had to really understand who the character was and why she was there and all that kind of stuff. It was a very concentrated, intense period.
That's amazing. Okay, so now let's go to this. You shared experiences on stage, but now you're writing the kinds of experiences other actors will have on stage.
Right.
What do you like writing about? What is your style of writing?
My
Can you share a little
style, I don't know if I have a style per se. I always think of myself as a very intuitive writer, and what I'll do is I'll think of, like, what is it I want to write about? Like, what is it? What point do I want to make? Do I want to make a point? Yeah, I think I want to make a point. And then I usually will start with my characters. And I'll have the place where I want them to get to, sort of the end.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I don't know the roadmap that's going to get them there.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm thinking, I need you guys to end up here.
Okay.
Right? Because it needs to be about this.
Right.
At the end. And so I'll come up with a name. Like, first I'll just say if I have one character or two characters, I need a name. Tell me your name. And I'll let them talk to me. I'll let them tell me their name. And when it feels right, I'll think, oh, yeah, yes, I think that's your name. Yes, that's your name.
Okay.
And then I try and visualize them and have a conversation with them.
And how does that happen?
I just basically say, tell me your story. Tell me your story. Who are you? And how are you going to help me write my story?
Right.
Because I need you to help me write my story, but I need to understand who you are first.
Wow.
And I wrote this play called Leaving Watermain.
Oh, Leaving Watermain.
Yeah, it's sort of a family drama period piece.
Okay.
Takes place 1940s.
Oh, nice.
About a patriarchal family. Very loosely based on my mom's family. Very patriarchal. They were kind of middle class African Americans in the South in the 1940s.
Okay.
3 daughters, these 3 sisters, each one of them very different, and it dealt with colorism within the family. Something we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You had the light-skinned, beautiful sister. You had the dark-skinned sister who was dark-skinned, pretty though. And then you had the caramel paper sack brown sister. And we it's the story of all 3 of those sisters within this family, and with the backdrop of a little murder mystery happening. And I remember when I first got the sisters in my head, I kind of knew what I wanted it to be about. I don't know if I had an ending per se, but I knew I wanted it to be about that family.
Okay.
And as I was writing it, they just started coming through really loud and clear, and this story was unfolding, and I'm typing away, and all of a sudden I'm getting to this point where the doorbell rings in the middle of this dialogue, and I'm thinking to myself, who's at the door? Like, I have no idea who was at the door.
Wow.
And so it rang, so somebody has to answer it, and so they go to the door, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see who's at the door. She opens the door, and it's the crazy neighbor that has a crush on the oldest sister, and I'm like, what is he doing here?
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you, do you start off with all the characters in mind? Like, do you recruit every character and you say, that's it, everybody's here, a cast, and I'm going to write?
No.
And sometimes the characters...
Sometimes they just keep coming. They just keep coming. Now, this particular character was in the beginning, but then there were other characters that, started bogarting their way into the story. And when you're writing, practically speaking, you know nobody's going to produce a 20 character play, right. So I really wanted to keep it down to no more than 9 characters. I didn't want to go over the 10 2-digit number, and I got it down to 9 actors but 12 characters, so 3 of the actors would play double parts. And then there was a scene where I'm writing this monologue for one of the sisters, and she starts revealing a secret that I had no idea she had, and I'm just crying. I could hardly see the screen as I'm typing, and she's revealing this secret, and it's just like, oh my God. And when I was done, I was like, oh my God, what was that? Like, how did that happen? And it was a really amazing experience. And then I later read that Toni Morrison has that kind of, characters sort of talk through her, where you kind of go into this like zone.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you're no longer, it's like your hand, they're just using you at that point. You're the vehicle. And you're just moving your fingers, and they're dictating, basically, and you're just kind of typing and hearing what they're saying. Like the very next word, I have no idea what it's going to be until it's on the page.
Well, almost like a revelation.
Kind of, yeah. They just start, because this is the divine creative spirit that I was talking about earlier. Right.
Look at that.
That's how.
They get some of that creativity.
How it works.
It translates to my piano playing.
It's all divine. Yes. All creativity comes from that higher source.
Wow, this is amazing. I mean, such a career, such amazing experiences, and deep thinking and reflection.
Thank you.
What I like to do is get as much soul food from my audience as possible. So I'd like to ask a few questions.
Okay.
Sort of like I'm going to be asking you for tips or advice.
Okay.
All right. So for a person who is in the creative arts, writing or acting, what advice would you give? Maybe like 1 or 2 things to consider for a person trying to get into, let's say, writing specifically. I know a lot of friends who want to get into writing. In fact, one of my previous guests, so a young guy who had recently graduated from college, and he was studying, I think, political science. But for some reason, he was touched by the divine and creative force, and he decided to be a writer, write film, and he wanted to change hearts and minds.
Yes.
He's a young brother. Actually lives in my building, in fact. So for someone like that and others, what advice? Because I've seen many just really like ping pongs, just trying to find our way in this world and trying to find out how to write. Like I mentioned, style. People think in terms of where's my voice, what's my style.
Right. I would say be clear about what it is you want to write about, what it is you want to say. How do you want to go about changing hearts and minds, and why? And really have that conversation with yourself. What is it you want to write? Who's your audience? Who are you talking to when you write? You can think about those things in one kind of compartment. I'm not a big fan of rules per se.
Interesting. Okay.
Like I said, I'm an intuitive writer, but there are technicalities, I think, that should be kind of adhered to in terms of just storytelling. Make it a story if that's the kind of writing that you do. Right. A novel writer, playwright, or poetry, you know. Make it a story. It doesn't have to be a complete linear story, but take your audience on a journey.
Okay.
Take them on a journey and study. I think learn foundationally what the discipline is, and I tell this to my students all the time. Learn the foundations, whether it's singing, acting, painting. Learn the techniques, right? That's your foundation. Once you kind of learn the techniques, the sky's the limit. Let your creativity flow from there. It's just much easier, right, than to just kind of be out there, you know, swinging, you know, by whatever the expression is. But if you have a foundation, that's just a real good thing to build on. And understand that it's going to take some work.
It's going to take some work. Wow. That's some pretty good
Even
advice.
if you're naturally talented. Right? Even if you have a natural ability.
That's a good point. Yeah, I had a discussion with a friend, and we were debating over whether people are limited based on their natural ability. And if somebody doesn't exhibit that natural ability, should they just hang it up? But hard work actually plays a part.
Absolutely.
As well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what about for aspiring actors and actresses? What would you say? I'm sure some of that can apply still too.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. I say,
I hear that it's a brutal game out there.
It's pretty brutal. You have to have thick skin, but I would say take every opportunity you can to be involved in a theatrical production, whether it's local, your church, your school, writing it yourself. Take every opportunity just to build the muscle of being in front of an audience, having words come out of your mouth, study, you know, your articulation, your projection, all of those technical things. Understand your body, what your body does, how your body moves, how you can create character with your body, you know, because these are all very distinct kinds of things that bring your character to life. And that's all part of the process of learning. So that's what I'm saying. What you can have natural ability, just as a talented singer can just, you know, be born with this an incredible voice, but they still need to understand and learn how to maintain it, how to protect it, how to help it grow and be even more than what you have naturally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is great. This is great. So we got some comments in here. We have a lot of people here who popped up here on IGs. Good to see you all, and some people here on Facebook. And so yeah, I see Wayman Davis here, Beauty Undefined here. So thanks for chiming in. So I talked to Nan-Lynn about the possibility of granting a ticket to see one of the plays, one of the shows.
One of the shows,
So here's how this is going to work. I'm going to ask a question at the very end before we sign off. I've been taking notes, listening very closely to Nan-Lynn. And so I'm going to ask this question. And the first person to email the question can get a spot to see.
To email the answer.
To email the answer. Yeah. To email the answer to me at politicalsoulfood@kasaunhenry.com. So politicalsoulfood@kasaunhenry.com. Get ready to email me what the answer is.
To see this play.
Yeah, to see Glory. So we're going to talk a little bit about Glory.
Just a little, okay.
Okay, so here's Glory. And actually, I put the flyer up on Facebook and on IG.
Fantastic.
That flyer.
Oh, great.
And one of your IMDb pictures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So if you're tuning in from the beginning, you are in good shape. But if you haven't, you probably want to, as soon as this show is over, rewind, okay? So let's talk a little bit about Glory, because we're going to do a Political Soul Food feature this week where I get to go into the magical chambers with Nan-Lynn and meet the cast and everyone who's contributing to this amazing work of art. And at that time, I'll talk more about I will ask more questions about the play in the process for that play.
Okay.
But if we can just give them a little, what I call it, trailers or something, just a little bit about this play, the general idea of it, the punchlines and what's inspired you to write it a little bit.
Okay. Well, as you can see, I think you can see, the two leads in the play are women of a certain age, but don't let that fool you. This is what we're calling a traumatic comedy. And I wrote this play because I felt like there just needed to be more work for actors, African-American actors of a certain age, actresses or actors. We kind of go back and forth with whether to say actor or actresses. And I wanted it to be out of the box, atypical. I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it to have some substance, but I wanted to have these actors be on stage and just be different, atypical in their characterization, in their speech, in their relationship. They are sisters, and so it's a really interesting sister dynamic, and it's a lot of fun.
Wow, that's awesome. Nan-Lynn, thank you so much
you.
for sharing your time.
Thank you so
your
much.
mind.
Thank you all. Thank your audience. Wow,
Yeah, thanks a lot for being here. This was a lot of good soul food. This is like Thanksgiving. So the question is, before we sign off, ladies and gentlemen, is what word did Nan-Lynn use to describe the power of the arts? There was a word that was used several times in different forms. Okay, so that's the question. And the first one to get it right will get a chance to see glory. All right. So I'll see y'all soon. We're gonna chime out here. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Nan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been really cool.
Thank you.
So we're gonna